Previously on the Oman Desert Marathon, after traveling around Oman for a few days, wandering around the Muscat corniche with Issam, hiking through Wadi Shab, scuba diving with D at Aura Divers, and carb-loading in the best way possible, I'm finally lining up for the Oman Desert Marathon, the 5-day self-sufficient desert stage race covering 160 kilometers or about 100 miles across Bedouin lands. It is happening, boarding the bus to go to the castle where we will start the Oman Desert Marathon. Our bus rolls into Al-Wasil, a sand-dusted stone fort on the edge of the desert. A group of men dressed in formal Omani attire, long-sleeved, ankle-length dishdasha robes, muzar turbans, and ceremonial curved khanjar daggers around the waist, await. They greet us with smiles and a quick wave as we arrive in this small village known as the gateway to the Wahiba Sands, a desert in Oman known for its towering dunes flowing in waves of buttery yellow and coppery orange as far as the eye can see. This won't be easy, a fact Muhannad Al-Jardani, an Omani volunteer nurse, makes abundantly clear.
When you go to the desert, you need to have an emergency plan which includes evacuation. If I'm going the daytime, I have to make sure that I have a protective gear, protects me from the blazing sun. If I'm going at the night, if there is bushes, that means there is animals. Animals attracts predators. If you see a mouse, that means there is a snake following behind. And if there is bushes, that means there is a scorpion nearby. You need to have painkillers until the medical evacuation is on the go.
Hey, at least medical evacuation is an option and they don't just, start digging. We're here at the castle, getting ready to start. Naturally, this is when the nervous need to pee starts to kick in. On the hunt for some toilets. It's been a journey. We've got 13 minutes before the start. We find one in the nick of time and rejoin the gathering hordes to march towards the start, following the sounds of 4 men playing Haban bagpipes and holding down the beat on a Romani drum. So the start was technically a few minutes ago, and nobody's quite sure where the start is. It's a little chaotic, but in a fun way. And we just started jogging, slightly walking to what might be the start. Not sure what's happening, but all the runs are starting together. 10K, marathon, our run. So, like I said, chaos, but in a fun way. And then it begins. All right, this is gonna be it for sprint start. Sprint start, yeah. Let's get moving. So the rule of thumb is that we can always see the next marker every 500 meters. So far, it just kind of seems like a big sprawl across this field. I'm sure once it gets to be the stage racers, it'll narrow down a bit. So we just passed the 5K mark. I can definitely tell my heart rate is a lot higher than it should be, but I'm attributing that to my first run in the sand and, anxiety for the race. So hopefully I calm down a bit. Early on in the race, I catch up with the speedy Shane McShira from Dublin and ask him why he's doing this thing.
Well, a buddy of mine and I read that book, was a Rise of the Ultra Runner, and it was mentioned about this race and how cool it was, so figured to give it a whirl.
This is your first time on sand. What are your impressions so far?
Yeah, well, we're supposedly in the nice part now, so so far we're going okay. You hit the hard spots, but a little bit scared and excited for the dunes later.
And that's when Fahad Al-Labri, known for running with sandals and a ukulele, catches up with us.
That's a brave choice. Yeah. Whose idea was it? Huge respect to you guys. We're gonna watch you guys till the end.
Watch us till the end? That sounds ominous. But I appreciate the sentiment. A little further ahead, I find Lydia, who astute viewers will remember from the first episode. Lydia, how are we feeling?
Good, how are you?
First, almost 10K in the sand.
Yeah, it's soft. Real soft.
Accurate review. This was hardly as soft as it would get. Yet I continued to delude myself, like one of those running influencers who's just so gosh darn special, they gotta get a camera that makes it look like someone else is filming them. Alright, so far on this post 10K bed, it's much more compact and runnable. Still feeling good for now, but we'll see. Still got about 30K to go. Gonna be a long day. Gonna be a long week. Gonna be a long week with plenty of time to get lost in my thoughts. A scary thought in and of itself. Starting to have one of those schmaltzy moments of where I'm feeling good in the race, so I can look around and be like, holy hell, I'm in Oman, I'm in the desert. Nothing that I could have possibly comprehended when I was a kid growing up in the suburbs of Cleveland. The hell did I do to deserve this? If reincarnation's real, I'm afraid I'm coming back as like a dung beetle or something, but this might just be worth it. For my time in the desert, I have Saeed Al-Hadri to thank. Saeed started the race in 2013 to show off the beauty of the Omani desert, his literal backyard growing up here in Badia.
We are following the nomads, silk roads. That's why we choose the road, and to show the people from outside the culture of the desert, the culture of the Bedouin people, the culture of the nomads, how they live, how they stay, how they build their houses, how they do their food, this kind of things. When you pass them in the road and you see their things, this is the things we need to reflect it to the runners.
This appears to be where the climbing begins, on soft sand, and I can see that I need to go up there. Oi, oi, oi. Viewers, adventurers, fellow masochists, I cannot convey to you just how draining of an experience this Sisyphean task is. But Stephen Green, a British-born, Oslo-based relative newbie to ultra running, will try to help.
The sand is horrific. It's horrific. There's no other way. But you're coming to a desert race, so you have to expect that the sand is going to be horrific. But it is horrific. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, sand is insane to run on. It just kills just sucks all the energy out of your legs like nothing else. The sand definitely humbled me a lot more than I thought it was going to. I thought maybe going in a little too confident, 165K, yeah, I got this, and sand is a kicker, for sure.
I'm about 25K in. It's getting increasingly difficult to follow the markers. I make matters worse by chasing flag markers to their literal location. Runners aren't given a GPX file of the route to follow on their watches, but rather are told to look for tall banners marking the course every 500 meters. Only later do I learn that these are meant to mark the general direction, and that you don't need to actually run right up to the flag like some kind of sandy slalom course. In the end, I'll add an extra kilometer to my day. Alright, just cleared the 31 kilometer checkpoint. Doing mostly a strong hike, I'd say, right now. But it's hard. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. At roughly 35 kilometers, or about 22 miles, my eye follows the flag markers across a flat field and to the top of a comically steep dune. If this ascent were made of rock, I'd need a proper climbing harness and ropes to ascend the thing. Because it's sand, I can sink my feet into the ground and make my way up the side without risk of crashing to my Darwinian demise. Maybe about halfway on this climb. That's what happens with every step. Yes, I know, I signed up for this. But making it to the top means I'm that much closer to the finish line and stumbling into camp where I grab the first tent I find. Well, I'm not sure what protocol is, but I just walked into the first tent I spotted. Nobody was in here, so I'm laying down. Holy hell. That was hard. Apparently, this was against protocol. The smaller tents are for staff, so I get kicked out and over to the communal tent where some of the other runners like Mo and Patrick Wiltshire are already licking their wounds.
The final part, the final 10 kilometres, just grueling, absolutely grueling. And even walking it, my legs were just completely destroyed. I had no energy left in them. It's got me fearing what's in store, because looking around us, the huge mountain of sand dunes are surrounding us, and I know that's going to be coming up, and yeah, I'm nervous.
Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, so it's nice now knowing that I have a better strategy going into day 2. So I came in just 7.5, give or take, hours. Found out the guy that came first came in at like 3 hours and 16 minutes. I've never felt like less of a man.
One of the reasons Omani and Moroccan runners excel at this race is because, like the indigenous Bedouin nomadic tribes from here, they're able to read the sand. It's a skill we'll all have to sharpen in the days to come. But on day 1, we're illiterate.
What is that you're eating?
Very berry muesli.
Lovely.
How are you feeling today, Mo?
Oh, fantastic. I feel high spirits.
I was like, at least
I feel like I needed to come to camp and find out everyone struggled in the last 12k as well.
Not just us
Yeah,
two
not just
complaining
us.
together.
Because it was like, we didn't see anyone for so long. We were like, there's no way that we were the only ones that have...
Everyone's going to be at camp being like, come on, guys.
Yeah. But we got to camp, realised it humbled all of us, and that made me feel a lot better.
And on that note of suffering and solidarity, it's time to line up for another 32 kilometers. Nothing like starting the stage with a slow, sandy hike up to the start line. Stage 2 is underway, and so is the climbing, with beautiful sunrise into the desert. I'll take that at least. The slow desert sunrise is a blessing for runners like me who struggle in the heat. I can settle into a comfortable stride despite the powdery sand. So far we've had some of these rolling dunes. We get to run downhill, and I'll tell you, that feels a lot better. As the sun casts its rays across the desert expanse, the temperature begins to climb just as I'm forced to do the same alongside a slow, false climb. It looks like I should be able to run, but I can't find the energy without sending my heart racing. This leaves me with too much time to spiral into negative thinking. How am I going to finish tomorrow? Stage 3, we all agreed in camp, looks to be the most challenging of the bunch. It is, after all, called the Dune roller coaster. I start worrying that I might not actually make it through this thing and have to DNF. Intellectually, I know there's no shame in a DNF. Not to brag, but I've done it before. Yet every bone in my body wants to finish this thing. Just left the 10K checkpoint. People seem to be in good spirits. Allegedly, the rest of the course is pretty flat, but I'm skeptical. I don't know if I should believe a word they say, since they're putting us through this torture chamber. Thanks everyone.
Very good luck.
Cheers. Alright, that was our last checkpoint at 20K. And they said we've got 12 to go straight into camp. All flat, no dunes. So, false sense of security before tomorrow. There she is, the end of stage 2, just up ahead. Done, thank God. Back at camp, I throw myself into the hands of the 2 Spanish masseuses, Ana and Carmen, to do their best to prepare my body for the coming challenge.
How's it feeling?
It's great! Sports are great! Meanwhile, the Moroccans and Omanis seem completely unbothered by what lies ahead, settling into their ritual of collecting dry twigs and lighting up a fire to boil some tea. So evening at camp is starting to wind down. I just had my dinner and feeling like a person again. So after the first day of eating all of the race fuel, which seems like it was a little bit of a mistake, feeling much better. Stomach is there, so I'm hoping that it can play along with this run tomorrow, because I am nervous, to be frank, and I really want to get through this because I don't do so well in the heat, and I know that's going to be a factor tomorrow. But if I can just get past this, then the next stage is the night stage. Don't have to worry about heat there. And then you just got the 21K to end it, and I can handle that. So yeah, this is it. Make or break, as they say. There's not a calm soul in camp before taking on the next 40 kilometers or 25 miles. The consensus among us mere mortals is that we've got a 12-hour day in store for us. Especially as Moroccan Rashid El Morabiti gave us a reality check after the first stage, saying he thought that this race was tougher than the legendary Marathon des Sables in his native country, a race he's won 10 times. Cool. Well, we were supposed to start at 6, according to our little guide, but that ended up being 6:45, but now it is 7 o'clock, and that's because there's some fog, and they're worried that we'll get up there and won't be able to see the next marker, which, for me, I'm thinking it's pretty chilly out right now. I'm happy to go start and do some climbing, and if I have to, just wait at the flag, rather than getting stuck in the inevitable heat during the day. But then I have to remember that there are people who are actually racing this thing, and so they probably don't want to get to a flag and just chill out until the fog clears up. So we are waiting for our briefing for the day and to get the go-ahead to start running. But yeah, would like to get going. The briefing never comes, and runners start to get antsy. Everybody just started marching towards the starting line to kind of force the issue, and I think they got the hint that we're eager to start, so I think we're about to start. Finally, we're off to ride the dune roller coaster. Well, so far living up to the name, dune roller coaster. They say in stage races that on day 3 is when you get your legs, because your body's just like, this is what I'm doing. And I kind of feel like that, but at the same time, the stage has been surprisingly runnable so far. Makes me scared about what's up ahead. Stephen Green, how's it going?
Good, mate.
How's it going so far?
Brilliant. What a day to be alive, to be able to do this.
Indeed.
Let's go.
It's been surprisingly runnable 8K, I'd say.
Yeah, this is okay. You can handle this. The best is yet to come, I think.
I think so too, unfortunately, or for better or worse. Just past the halfway point. I don't know if they lied to us to scare us and then get pleasantly surprised, but so far it's been manageable. You know, I haven't seen any of the Dune movies, but I'm pretty damn sure Timothy Chalamet did not do any of this shit. Well, just as we're hitting, I think, the high noon heat, if I'm looking at the sun correctly, about to hit ourselves a dune. Looking at the dune, you can see all the different ways people have tried to attack it. That route looks as torturous as any, so here we go. That was insane. Holy hell. And still more to come. Alright, well my watch says we're about at 39. So I'm guessing that dune up there is the one that at the last checkpoint they said, climb that and you'll see camp from the top. So climb it I shall. Oh, f me. That looks like more dunes. There she is. While by no stretch of the imagination easy, Stage 3 was not the death gauntlet nightmare many of us imagined. Plus, crossing the halfway point, and then some, of the 5-day race felt like reaching a power-up in a video game.
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be, so I'm pleasantly surprised. We talked about how hard it was going to be for so long that I was like shitting myself going in, but it was actually quite pleasant, and to do it with company made it just a whole lot better. One night shift left and then a half marathon and we're done.
It would have been grueling doing that whole road back on my own, I think.
Yeah.
That would have been tough, so it's good to be when we helped drag each other along.
Yeah, when you had to crawl up the dune, it was nice knowing somebody else had to do it too.
Yeah.
What Shane and Patrick are touching on is a sense of camaraderie quickly built among people thrown into challenging, unique circumstances. After all, who else can understand what it's like to slowly schlep up a sand dune underneath a boiling sun in the Arabian desert? The guy or woman next to you. That's who. It's a lazy morning for day 4, the night stage. No beaming light in the tent to wake us up, and no need to flicker on our headlamps to navigate around camp and avoid scorpions. I wake up naturally with the soft rising sun spreading a gentle purple and red glow across the desert, and settle into my new routine. Instant coffee in my reusable race day cup, a bad choice in retrospect given the tedious balancing act of holding hot liquid in a formless container, followed by another freeze-dried breakfast in my collapsible bowl. Another questionable choice for similar reasons. And I rip the band-aid off with a quick visit to the porta potty before the hot sun turns it into an odorous sauna. With what feels like an eternity until my late afternoon start, I use the slow morning to catch up with my fellow runners, like Lydia and Oman's own Khalid Al-Farsi, who's running his first ultramarathon.
I was not planning to do the 165, but my friends, they pushed me to do it. One of my friends, he helped me, he gave me the hydration bag and he gave me the sleeping bag. So he told me, you are ready now, so yeah, you can do it now. It's totally different than the trail run, like running in the mountains. It's totally different. It's really tougher than the mountains.
I feel like at the beginning of every stage, maybe the first like 5K is like really hard, just trying to get back into it. But definitely with each stage, I've become, I think, better at running at sand. Not as good as the elites here and the Moroccans, but definitely better in myself. I think what sort of carried me through the last stage was I just I thought it was going to be a lot harder, so I prepped myself for a really hard stage. And then I was just like, good vibes only. It's just, we're just going to enjoy. We're not going to exert ourselves today. It's just going to be good time. And that actually really carried me through. So I think for the next 2 stages, I'll sort of keep that in my mind and be like, it's your own race. Don't worry about anyone else. Just enjoy it, get to the end. And that seems to actually make me get a little bit faster.
There's still time to kill, so I head on over to the medical tent to pop a blister that somehow regenerated after the last stage.
How are you feeling? Does it sting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pinching. I pinch myself someplace else and then it's fine.
God, he's tougher than me. It's because it's on camera.
Yeah.
As soon as you press the stop button, it's going to spray.
Yeah.
Hurry, stop recording!
At the 12 o'clock race briefing, we're assigned our group times. The back of the pack runners start first, followed by my group an hour later, and then the last group, the fastest with the Moroccans and Omanis, starts just before sunset.
I just took my hat off for the first time in this race because the sun is dipping behind the dunes, and oh my god, like the sound is so different when I'm not hearing the swooshing of my hat every step. It's so empty. It's like cool.
Running into the night is an experience unto itself. The sky clears, revealing the infinite universe above like a cosmic light bright that can bring about a kind of nihilistic bliss. The things you think matter don't. The irrationally emotional office meeting that could have been an email, video view counts, and just about anything else we attach with value beyond family, friends, and love is in fact meaningless. The sports car, the smartphone, the latest green powder promising to solve all your nutritional needs, all of it. Unless you're curing cancer, keep going with that. I end the night stage with a strong push purely for my own validation. It's the strongest I've felt thanks to the more runnable terrain and more suitable night temperatures for a guy like me who's about as acclimated to the desert as a snowman. Shane, Mo, Patrick, and Lydia are already at camp informing me of the latest happenings. A member of the volunteer staff was just stung by a scorpion. So I skip the shower and secure myself firmly into my sleeping bag like a dirtbag Harry Houdini and go to sleep. Just one more run to go. The buzz on my watch alarm goes off at 6 a.m. I'm awake after a night of tossing and turning on a deflated air mattress. But there are no middle-of-the-night visitors in my sleeping bag, and I remain blissfully without stings. The finish line is calling.
How are you feeling about the last run, last stage?
God!
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
I'm over sand, I'm over running, I'm over all.
But before we get started on the last stage, a little pump-up chanting to solidify our entry into this desert cult.
Aliyah! Aliyah!
Aliyah!
Aliyah! Aliyah!
What did we just agree to?
You know, all Muslim now.
Stage 5 begins with one last ride along the dunes with some of the strongest winds of the race. Children wearing Oman Desert Marathon tech tees jump in at various points of the route. The way one child sprints up the dune, barefoot, catches my eye. This, I think to myself, is the kind of training you miss out on when you grow up in the suburbs where cars take you everywhere. Of course, the traditional cars out here are camels, an animal Bedouins regard as Ata Allah, or a gift of God, because they provide so much of what they need in life, namely transport, food, and clothing. Arab poets would even refer to camels as the ships of the desert.
All right, after that rolling dune start for about 2 kilometers, we dropped down the dune to this very runnable piece of, I guess, still desert, but very compact. I can actually run, and I'm liking it. Happy to do some running to end this 5-day journey. Well, it was nice running while we could. Looks like we've got rolling dunes up ahead. Well, there's just nothing left in the legs. And I don't know if you can see, but absolute swarm of flies around me now. Great. And still got 5K to go. The final checkpoint of the 165-kilometer Oman Desert Marathon coming right up. Just crossed the 20-kilometer mark on my watch, so should have just about a kilometer to go, give or take a little, for the desert tax. And there she is, sports fans, the finish line.
I'll admit I was hesitant to believe my eyes, but fortunately for my defeated legs, this is, indeed, the end of my exhausting journey. The gates of the resort lead to the finish line, where an announcer calls in runners with the pent-up euphoria of a Kentucky Derby announcer. Runners continue to roll in over the next couple of hours, and the feeling of sweet relief is palpable, especially when talking to a guy like Roland Kirby.
I feel great. Great. Yeah, much better than I expected to feel after the end of day one. So, good result.
Glad it's over?
I'm glad that the race is over. I'm not glad that this that we all have is over, because that's as big a part of it for me as anything. So.
And that's a sentiment shared throughout the group.
Every night at camp, I got closer and closer to the people I was with every single day, despite it being like a self-sufficient race. It never felt self-sufficient. It always felt like you had so many people that you can lean on, or so many people you can rely on, and people there for moral support, people there you can run with.
When the last participant comes through, one Mr. Luigi Finelli, a hiker on his third go-around with the Oman Desert Marathon, everyone gathers at the finish line to cheer him on. The army of volunteers, the Omanis, Moroccans, and Europeans. In my experience, there are few settings that can bring about that kind of joy and fellowship among folks who were strangers just 6 days earlier. But is that why we do these hard things? The fellowship among like-minded masochists? Or is there something else?
Oh yeah, this is my holidays and my... I don't know, I guess. You get older, you stop wanting to drink on holidays, you want a bit more life experience, and I think this is, although this beer is quite... yeah, I don't know, just something different, I suppose.
You know, I don't think I know why. I just know that the feeling after it is very hard to get. So once I've done these things, the feeling of finishing it and then sharing the experience for me is just to inspire other people, but mostly from the feeling I get for finishing it and achieving it is the main reason. It's tough as hell. You wonder whether you have a mental illness when you're doing it, but the feeling you have when you're finished is the reason, basically.
I think it's trying to see what you are capable of. It's always nice to push your limits, because then you can find out where your limits are and then expand beyond them. You have a comfort zone, you step outside of it, that comfort zone grows, and you keep doing that, and it just feels more and more and more rewarding every single time.
For his part, Patrick had a little extra motivation.
So I've been fundraising for men's prostate cancer. My father got tested and it showed up that he had early onset prostate cancer, so he's been going through treatment, and so that was the trigger for going down that path. And it's been going really well so far. I've been overwhelmed by the support that I've had, Raised in excess of £12,000, which is way beyond my expectations. I thought I was only going to raise £5,000. Generosity has just been unreal because it is, in the UK particularly, one of the leading causes of cancer for men.
But sometimes there's no clear-cut answer.
I do these things. It's a really good question. Sometimes I don't really know. It's probably to find adventure. I quite like being pushed outside of my comfort zone. I think if you do hard things, then you're able to, one, explore the world more, but also like probably find out a bit more about yourself. So at the time, I don't think you do, but on reflection, on doing these things, you find out so much more about yourself. So I think that's why I do it. And also I just love a bit of pain as well.